I have to be, I mean, hopefully, I was here to refer what the order is, you know, and then they'll be able, here's my, more actually, kind of, you know, that will be better today. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think so. I don't think she's gonna have. Maybe, but that's it. I think. I think you should. Okay. Oh, I don't want to know. I don't necessarily want to go to that. Because then I often, you know, about, oh, we're not going to be bad. Oh, we're not. That's what they do. Yeah, I mean, I think oh, I have to go and 35,000. It is a possibility, and that is the reason, you know, that is the main, you know, they violate the time, you can't really let them get through the vetting process, they require that, but. So, they didn't want to do it. That was why. It's pretty probably. Me is working there. Okay, well, no, I didn't know. I didn't know. Well, he's going to do investigation. He wants to investigate. So, he never spoken to me. All he said is that my office was not compared to the issue their discussion, and I was just part of that. And they decided to not really think those contracts. No, they didn't. Yeah, but all he needs was, and then they said,
hello. Hello. Thanks for figuring out my parentheses.
Yeah, sorry, I was like, hey.
I should have put it in quotes.
I'm sure that you did. Okay. No, I really do seriously appreciate you catching all the stuff that you do, you know?
Well, it's amazing, like, when you're, you know, because you know what you're writing.
Exactly, so you just breeze
Yeah.
over it, because I double check it, but.
Well, yeah, and you know what it's supposed to mean, and so,
Yeah.
exactly, and then all of a sudden it's like, it doesn't say that.
Yeah, no, it's really good though.
So.
I'll do. Okay,
You know, I'm early, because I want to do what you.
I could share the screen of the Dr. Todd stuff, I could put it up there,
Oh,
should I?
can we have printed?
You guys have
copies of
printed
this?
copies too. I don't think anyone's paid. How are you guys doing?
Good, how you doing?
Good.
That might be enough, just whatever.
Okay, if somebody does want it on here, I'll pick it up.
Okay,
Agent, knows how to do it.
okay.
Unless you guys want me to, but here, your paper. Yeah, you have all that, you have all.
Need the moment, but, yeah, we have it. Wow, look at your early.
Don, I've been meaning to get back with you, I'm sorry.
No words.
I'm all so close done with that house, and then I only have like 27 more projects to do.
Your list,
Hopefully ours is one of them.
your list is one item, it's just finished house, right?
Yeah, but that's the most important thing. I've been pushing people off over here to get stuff done, we're so close.
No, I'm just curious with that.
Well, I'm still like,
Got any word back or anything?
yeah, the other, John hasn't, he never got back with me. I reached out to Ace and they said he was gone for vacation, but that was like a month ago. So.
Roll back by, roll back by and see if he's,
Yeah, I need to reach back, yeah, cause I actually, Jeff's gonna start that rendition up in Plume, and he asked me if I would take care of the ICF funds for.
which one are you doing? Which one are you doing?
I don't know, there's one for Mark Reynolds, I literally started framing it up,
Yeah, this is for a lady.
that was for Sharon.
Okay, but,
So the other one's for a couple. I know Jeff's, they've been kind of getting put through the ringer on that. I think they actually finally gave him a permit.
there was one lady up there that was after me for like a year, and it's just like,
You sure it wasn't Sharon?
she lives on the Fall River, where she used to.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
What's her name?
Mary Beth.
Mary Beth.
So like that whole deal, Mary Beth, Laura's like, I helped out so and so much. And then Laura got mad because I didn't use her to list the house, which I would have, but she just would have left me alone. I'm like, if you have somebody that's interested now, they can see the house, maybe we can talk, but we're not, I got a part, we're not listing this for a month. But if you leave me alone,
Yeah.
come see me in a month, I could talk to Mike, we could probably work something out.
Talk to the new chief.
Yeah, and she bugged me like 3 to 4 times a week, high pressure, and I'm like, and I was like, in between her and Mary Beth, because Mary Beth, I had helped out to no end.
Yeah.
I kind of did like a loose walkthrough of the house she was gonna buy and saw enough stuff, and I'm like, I just.
The one here?
Yeah, I'm like, I just did not.
Yeah, she got me through there, just like.
Oh my, she wouldn't trust on what I had to say, and then literally, I was getting ready, she's like, yeah, she's like, I've got to go. I'm like, okay, well, I'm getting ready to go anyway. She's like, well, actually, I gotta meet somebody else. But then before I left, as I was talking to Laura, somebody else had showed up, which was another guy that she suckered into looking at.
Somebody
Like,
like us.
I'm like, really? Like, I got better stuff to do in the evening. If you don't trust.
So I was pissed, you know, that they needed to get the meter open and had to cut a lock off it, and it was just like, and then it was just like dragging me inside, and it was just like,
I mean, I'm just like, what do you expect? You know, I'm like, price is what, you know, for me, the price is what it is. If you're willing to pay it, it's worth it. If you're not, then don't.
or negotiate.
Or negotiate. I said, I'm literally getting ready to build a house that will be, for what you get, will be so much more than it's.
What do you want, what are you asking for yours?
$699.
She would have been so much better moved into yours.
I would have done $650 and probably thrown in a garage back there to make her happy. Until I kind of got to know.
An 8-car garage?
What?
An 8-car garage?
Just a garage.
That's not a garage.
No, I know, it's storage shed, that looks like a garage door, which is what mine is.
That's the only disappointing thing about your place.
My dream is a 50 by 60 shop. And then a 1,200 square foot house. That's
I
my
would,
dream.
I would be fine with a cot and bathroom.
Which is pretty much that, right? The 1,200 square foot house is for the family, the 50 by 60 garage, which I could live out of that easily.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, so what's crazy is I told her, I said, look. Reach out to Mike, if you wanna, you know, like really push this, reach out to Mike then.
Yeah,
And then Mike got annoyed because instead of her going to Mike saying, hey, you know, I'd like to listen to you guys, Dwayne said that I should talk to you, that you're gonna listen to me. I'm like, yeah, that's not good with Mike, like,
no,
you're definitely not gonna push him into it, and vice versa.
he's a sophisticated business person.
Yeah, and I'm like, then she just shows up out of the blue and brings me a contract, doesn't even talk with them, and hands it to me, I didn't know what it was. And I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna work, and it still wasn't even close to the time. And so then Mark had been bugging me to do that room addition, I was like,
Crusade. Go ahead, keep
oh,
talking.
sorry, Mark had been bugging me to do that room addition, but then I knew something was gonna happen with that, well, Sharon got mad because Laura didn't get the listing. And then Jake gets involved, and Jake calls me, hey, there's a room addition up in Bloom. And I'm like, dude, like, who's it for? He's like, Sharon, I'm like, that's Mark's job. Like, you do not wanna stab Mark in the back, I just kinda left it like that, he's like, well, I'm gonna come talk to you. So he pulls up, and I'm not kidding. 5 minutes later, Mark shows up, Mark gets out and walking up, and I'm like, hey, Jake, this is the guy you're trying to stab in the back. Which I'm doing is fun, and Mark just kind of looks at me, Jake's like, I'm sorry, and Mark's like, what are you sorry for? So then we chatted, but then Sharon didn't want me doing the job because I didn't use Laura as a realtor, which I called one, or Sharon, I'm like, look, if you don't be doing the work, it's fine, you have to do it. But Jake wants me to help him because he doesn't know how to do it, and I'm like, I don't care, I gotta do the work, you know? And she's like, no, I'm sorry, I got mad, I shouldn't have, I'm like, oh, shut up, I first yourself, she would have just done it as business, I'm like, crazy. I sold my first house. If she would have actually not pushed, but actually just got back from me, she would have had it. On this one, she wouldn't leave me alone, I'm like, she was like here till like here, I'm like, you gotta find out the points.
Yeah, you can't be overly aggressive.
But then that's what goes back to Mary Beth, I told Sharon, I'm like, gosh, how much, I looked at Laura's house like 3 times. Got Tom over here to look at it, give her all the ideas of what to do. And now she won't even talk to me.
I've looked at her house so many times,
Yeah.
no more.
Although I told Tom, I'm like, cause she kept these ideas, and I'm like, Laura, talk with Tom gives me the best ideas, he goes with GRC all the time, he gives me better ideas of what to do in his story, and that's the most efficient, you don't wanna mess with the word, right? And I wouldn't, I just would have added a little bit to that. She has that on that, that she can do a lot of cool stuff,
Right.
without touching us. You know, and I was like, I tried to help with things like that, they go, hey, kind of done. You would have been in a court for that, you know, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna look if you have no house, I don't know how they go about stuff. I don't know if you guys worked out, she saved the. Not here, to be honest, have dogs, but after dealing with her, I don't know what I can take, there's like cost. And I told her, I said, everybody knows, just he doesn't, he doesn't ever really finish anything. So I don't know, as a GC is not good, you want, you should have everybody's good. You know, and you need a.
What is he good at?
Well, the only thing is put a percent. And maybe if you have it there, you have it ready to go, he'll look it up. Hopefully, maybe. I'm trying to be nice, you know, like, he done a couple of things for me and it worked out, luckily. But, you know, it was funny because he did some stuff for me and Doug. He didn't jump it, I'm like, yes, if you do, he'll get.
Yeah.
So just let him be, and he showed up the next day and he knocked some stuff down. So it's like, okay, cool. I'm like, cool. That was 3 years ago.
It was like Fitz.
Exactly like Fitz. Fitz was awesome though.
Yeah,
Fitz did stuff for us in the coffee shop and he would play the guitar. So I'm like, Fitz, come play the guitar at the
I
coffee
think
shop.
Fitz, Amigo trained him in Fitz.
You're right, he did. So what I would do with Fitz is, hey, Fitz, come play the guitar at the coffee shop, okay, and I'm like, I got a plumbing issue, can you help me out? He would always help me out.
You had to get him early though.
Oh, gosh, yeah. You know, it's high mountain work ethic.
Stephanie was one of Stephanie's friends, and she said he was always that way.
Well, what's crazy is Fitz, and I can't think of the other guy. That came out here with him, goes all the way back to southern Illinois. And then Greg, the guy that came out here with me, his wife Shelley, him and Fitz knew each other back in Illinois like 30 years ago.
Wow.
Or something. And
Wow.
like, it's crazy how stuff connects.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
how people get around, like, how is that even possible?
I know.
Like, I can't remember the other guy that came out here with them anymore.
Given this today, this is a large file that has, bunch of higher authority stuff on it.
Yeah, that we. I've been asking for that for a while.
Okay,
Cool.
so now you have it.
Well, I will print it off. Don't have a hard copy.
Okay.
Amanda's running late. She did text me.
Okay.
But I've not heard from Rob.
I have not either.
I know, Rich was down in Denver today, I think he, no, that we were.
Well, do you wanna wait or should we go ahead and start?
Seems like we should start, it's just a work session.
Work session.
Yeah, let's rock and roll.
Yeah, we can bring them up to speed.
Okay. I'm gonna call the work session to order. And right now. Okay. Does it matter to anybody which one we tackle first?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go ahead and tackle the IGA then.
You want to leave or you want to wait?
Go ahead.
Okay, so what we have for us is the most recent revision of the IGA. I had probably 6 different ones that they went through and they ended up scrapping the first 6 because they felt like, let's make this more broad than so refining. And so this is what you have. You have the latest one that's more general. Where we are as a whole, we've had meetings, so just understand, it's kind of like the same model as a fire authority, where you
Yeah.
have a representative and, that representative would then, speak on behalf of your boards.
It's kind of like the, library board too.
Yeah.
Yeah. that's-
So,
All right,
though originally it was John Kane and Amy working with a contractor who developed these things, and so right now, John's left, of course, and you guys know that he's now the Netter town administrator. And so Amy's been picking up, carrying us to where we left off. And so this is coming from the county, but the county is not controlling this. I just want to make sure we understand that each representative has their, that board collected would make the decisions for the multi-jurisdictional housing authority. This does include where they left off as far as the funding and how all the contributions. And they went through different models where they felt comfortable with. The last model, which is, if you look on the last page on Exhibit B, it goes to show you Georgetown and the column closest to the right. This little,
okay, so
yeah, it's on page 22. Yeah, I'm looking at the big one. If you look at Georgetown, our number would be based on the updated draft budget model, so that first on closest to the right dropped down to 37,000. That's what they're proposing to get this started with Georgetown's contribution. They basically say it represents 19%, and if you look at the population, they didn't do a population one, because it would have come out to be 83,000. No, I'm sorry, 27,000. They went with
They didn't want Mount raised.
yeah, they kind of did a little bit different calculation,
Draft,
so.
draft budget, that's what you're talking about?
Yeah, so they want that, so just want to draw your attention that 37,000 is where we would agree to in this IGA for us to be part of this currently. That's as far as I wanted to, these are the highlights I wanted to bring to this. It does go through a lot of, you know, we're gonna have to raise enough money to contribute to this in order to hire an executive director, then who would then go after these projects. That's contingent upon doing those things before we get started, but
Is that where the 200,000 of the bottom comes in?
Yeah.
Cause they were gonna do 220 or something, then they dropped it by 10% or something.
yeah, they're gonna start at the 200,000 mark
With the executive director.
with an executive director.
And the executive director is gonna get us what grants?
That's what they would be.
That's the model is that. That's how we're gonna fund this thing.
Eventually, the hope is that it would become self-sustaining through grant acquisitions and so our contribution is to tide them over until that,
Paper administration.
yeah.
It's a person,
Will they have a staff?
yeah, they're gonna.
Probably.
And-
be a row,
Oversight from the board.
yeah.
So 200,000, I thought I saw somewhere here that the person's salary would be.
It's on 18 and 19.
18.
They're starting off 130.
No, 130.
133, here's 137.
Oh.
That's a projected. Once they get here, you know, the board may have to make some other decisions, but that's what they're looking
Is that pretty reasonable for this job? Yeah, I mean, shot in the dark, yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a starting position, starting off to get us going. And as I mean, the goal with this would then go after grants and then offset the majority of the expense of these kind of things, you know, get a $2 million grant, collectively go through the Proposition 123 funds. So then we have some significant things to go towards. The additionals would most likely be seed money that we would have set aside so that we can do bigger projects.
We have that set aside
Through this, it would be,
through this.
if you want to,
Okay,
We just started.
yeah.
we just started.
This is seed money through this is the money that we're contributing to this or being asked to contribute is to fund the salary of the executive. That doesn't include any funds to start building,
Beyond that.
right? For any projects.
All right, so, if it's 200,000, his salary is 130, what's the rest of this gonna be?
Pages 18 and 19.
Okay, oh, I see that.
We're on pages 18 and 19.
I don't think I have my packet.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Switch up with Rob.
I'll still Rob's for
Yeah, just tell him you didn't take it.
now. No, I didn't get mine up. I was reading online, so.
Well, she said all those out, or some.
Oh, so maybe that is yours.
Yeah,
Maybe
could
Rob
be
just
rock
got
and
it
stuff.
earlier.
Did Rob? She's got a name tag for Rob.
Just lie, just lie.
Don't worry
And
about it.
Rob didn't get it.
Is Rob coming to the meeting?
We are.
So we're still talking in the realm of 200,000 a year.
Yeah.
that the supporting funds from the different municipalities could go.
So, am I reading this $50,000 to be like seed money? No,
No, it's not. When you look on page 18, year one, 138,000 of that 200,000. And then you got taxes and benefits is 35,000.
right,
Third contributing partner support, legal CPA, that's, I guess, to do all that. Third party stuff of 10,000. Then just office and communications, 5,000, 3,000, conference, tech support. So Mary's right, this does not include the
It
seat.
does not.
none,
So that means we would have to.
Still come up with the funds for any
Correct.
kind of grant match or development
so like
costs.
the guy that you know from.
Yeah,
Jake,
What sort of seed money do we need for that project? Just roughly,
I don't think we need any seed money for that project.
but he was
No
interested,
land.
he was interested in the management of the county management or the
Yeah, he would want to partner with the housing.
housing authority.
Yeah,
But if we made him a deal and said, okay, we can swing this land deal to you. We have the land already and provide our own some staffing from inside to help go through and get. He was referring, to Chafa come spring in February.
Yeah,
I think
is that worth 37,000? 37,000 even?
mhm.
so I'm wondering if maybe the IGA shouldn't. I'm not remembering a provision in here for, additional contributions towards specific projects.
Oh, credit for it or what?
Yeah, for instance, if a jurisdiction has land
Yeah.
that can be donated, that could be counted,
Value, assessed value.
yeah, yeah. Or they can do a monetary contribution if there's a project that
There should be credit.
existing funding can't cover.
But that would probably be down the line, but they're still asking for us to contribute $37,000 for the next 3 years, so $100,000, a little bit over.
Yeah.
To set up the office and to man to staff the office
Right.
with a person.
Right.
And so 3 years down the line, we could potentially still be saying, this is my biggest issue. We know we need affordable housing. This doesn't give us housing. I have a real hard time supporting this IGA for the county or any of the other municipalities when it's not giving us housing. And we told our residents here when they voted in our lodging tax that this would give Georgetown an opportunity to have some say and to control what's going to happen here. And I can't see throwing out a couple $100,000 for it to go somewhere else, especially, and I liked what Jake was throwing up to us. I would rather see us, and I know this is a staffing concern, but I would like to see us throw some weight into what we could do here.
In-house.
Right, even within the next couple of months, we could have a great plan. If the county is saying we need 300, a minimum of 300 units of affordable housing throughout the county, and we know Idaho Springs is building a couple of projects, and I don't know where they fall into the affordable housing realm, but maybe there's 50 of them. I don't know. I would like to know what those numbers are, because I know they've got a couple of different projects going. and we have possible potential with Jake's. I don't believe that affordable housing units in Idaho Springs is going to help us here in Georgetown in the long run. If we don't have the people here in town, then that doesn't help our businesses, it doesn't help our school. People, you know, we've all sat here and agreed with everyone's comments about, you know, it's like the bus stops here, and that's Idaho Springs. And people don't come out this much further. So if you can live there and you can get a job there, why are you gonna come here? And then we, you know, we fizzle out. And so what have we provided for our community? 3+ years down the line, I'm stuck on those 2 points. It's not fast enough, and I know nothing happens overnight, but we have some activity going on that's happening a little bit faster, and maybe this proposal that Jake has got kind of hanging out there could be moved on.
Can I get caught up on Jake's proposal? Cause I missed that work session. And I didn't get to ever go back and listen to the recording because it went up too late. Was it in that work session or is this something different?
That was the last work session.
The one that I missed?
It's just like 10 minutes at the end of the work session that he proposed, and I couldn't
Which
find.
Jake, like,
Jake Victor.
thank
Guy
you.
from Josh, the guy who had done it.
Thank you. We have a lot of Jakes in this
Yeah.
neighborhood and I just wanted to know what,
Yeah.
it's like, is this a planning commission thing or is this something, okay. Got it.
He was proposing,
45 minutes.
I was gonna say around that, and I don't even know if they were rentals. Or if it was a mix.
It's all these,
Okay,
these apartments.
so, and the thought was as the event parking lot
Correct.
area. And we own that land, so we would donate the land, that would be all part of the,
Do we own that?
Technically, no.
well, we own it, but we're still paying on it.
Right.
Okay, it's about as much as if you get a mortgage on your house, do you own your house?
The
Yeah.
sliver, are you talking about? Not the, not between the big one, across the street.
It's
Where our buildings are,
Yeah, that's where he was talking about the
Yes.
project? Oh, okay,
Yes.
great.
yes.
But that's only 113,000 left on that,
100,000.
100,000, yeah. So it's like not,
Let me give you some highs and lows,
Mhm.
because I've learned a lot more since that conversation. What he's proposing is 45 apartments that would be deed restricted affordable housing, like the real affordable housing, not so-called market rate, sustainable, whatever, you know, terms that you use, it's actually based on the real.
Be the real.
The real, the real. Okay, he has to submit an application by February in order to go after CHAPA funding. What he needs from us is some type of an agreement that we would be, giving the land, leasing the land long-term or something like that. The challenge we have, so I'll just pause there. The challenge we have is, I've got to contact the banks, Evergreen National. Will they be willing to shift things as we paid them off to move it so that that would be cleared? Probably not, but Jerry is giving me counsel to do that.
or would they really?
Or would they allow us to go ahead and develop it?
Summary.
Yeah, right. Will they allow us to develop it? What's the payoff? I know it's actually like 97,000. If we were to buy it outright, we'd have to go into our fund balance to do that. But then we would control all the properties. That's what we owe right now. I could find out what we owe just on that parcel, if they would allow us to pay that parcel off, so then we can do it. I haven't checked in that. But the other challenge is, anytime we wanna, and I forgot the term, if it's dispossess the property, or, you know, if we wanna dispose the property to Jake, we have to take it to a vote of the people. And so the only way around that is to do a long-term lease with him, like a 99-year lease. Jerry has done those before. Jake also has done those before, to do a long-term lease. So that's another hurdle. I think the bigger hurdle after this past week is our water utility capacity for water in the town right now. And so, this came up in the discussion. Ryan is concerned about three things. What is our capacity right now? He's afraid that we're at or near full capacity. We're required by the state, if we're at 70% of capacity, we have to upgrade our facility in order to handle whatever this.
This is
future
water
brings.
treatments, yeah.
Yeah, he's talking about just water in general, like, like getting water for the new development.
Well,
Right,
Wet water.
right.
Not sure if we even have the utilities to be able to service that, so that's the first. The second problem or concern is, storage. We have 2 storage tanks, when we add, I mean, we're talking about 50, 100, 150 more units. He's afraid that that alone would deserve its own storage system down near Bighorn somewhere. Or else we upgrade the one either at the, the water plant or across the interstate so that it can supply that. But he's afraid right now that our pressure is volatile. It's gonna mess with our whole system just by adding another 100 units from Bighorn second phase to Jake Victor's project, that he's concerned that it's already gonna affect this, negative impact our system, which means all of us are gonna be impacted. The third is the fire protection, hydrant, water, pressure system for that it's already under capacity. He said, or the flows in order to put out a fire, it should be around 1,500. He says it's not, it's more like 1,000. And if we build more units down there, it's gonna take it down to 750, which is unacceptable in order to put out fires. So he's concerned significantly, where we had a big meeting with me and Jerry and our water engineers, because he was concerned that even the 2.5 acre feet of water that we just made a contract with the county for the augmentation was not enough just to supply the water. That is good enough. We calculated it over and over and over again to show that it is. But Ryan is concerned that we don't need to do any development until we get these studies done to find out where we really are. So that kind of puts the brakes on all of this kind of stuff.
That's what I was just gonna say, what's the point of even discussing this if we don't even know? I mean, it's any building actually, down
Yeah.
the road, anything that we would think about doing, and if we can't add anything more to Georgetown, then we're not gonna have affordable housing, obviously.
So how long does it take us to get that information back from the studies?
So we have a meeting on Monday with Bob Orsatti to start get us a cost of what these are gonna be. So I don't know what the cost is, but we've got to do that.
Well, we would have to do that anyway for the long-term building for any.
Which we have to do, we
Right.
definitely should do that because we want the town to continue to grow, because.
So that's the first hurdle right now, like, that supersedes everything else that even Bighorn, all they have is 14.5 EQRs left
Right.
of their 171. We can't let them buy any more if we're at capacity.
Yeah.
We couldn't even, handle the project. So we put the brakes on that. I put the brakes on Jake already and saying, we've got some things to figure out.
Can it be figured out though? Obviously, I would say that it could be.
It
It's just a
can
process.
be. The study is really gonna tell us where we are. This may be, we're over exaggerating this, that could be a reality.
But it's planning for the.
But reality could also be, we need to invest $5 million in infrastructure.
Yeah.
And then we need to look at, Creighton and Kurtsuka, you need to put some money into this. Our lines need to be significantly upgraded in order to handle your future development, or else you use your 14 EQRs that you have, and that's it.
So what?
Which means 14 homes he could build, that's it, he can't do anything else.
Is it possible though that in like a long-term scenario, and I'm just thinking aloud a little bit here, that if we were involved in something like the multi-jurisdictional housing authority, that we could lean on them and say, well, we have land, but we can't develop. What can you guys bring to the table to support us, to help us solve this problem with, now that we have all of the municipalities in the county backing that, instead of it becoming just a Georgetown problem, that we could leverage this a little bit.
But I still think, unfortunately, I still think it's an in-house problem, correct? I mean, it's Georgetown.
Well, we have first, the studies are gonna tell us what the problem is.
Gotcha.
And so that, it's hard to estimate until we get there.
Just figuring out,
Well,
we don't have $5 million to invest in the.
Our study doesn't take forever though.
No, it's,
Big study.
Yes.
We're gonna have the information.
Exactly.
This isn't doomsday.
Yes.
And like you say, we have to plan for this one way or the other, otherwise let's put up a sign now and say there's nothing more that's ever.
Well, but see, that's the other question. I think that's the other question we have to ask ourselves. I'm kind of like, I'm in development mode.
Yeah.
And I've been in that mode for a long time, and all of a sudden now reality is, hold on. Board needs to make a decision. Do we want to develop, or are we done? Are we maxed out?
But that's part of our comprehensive plan though, and you know what though, back when we were talking Bighorn. And Ryan was a part of this, and I know the question was asked several times as Bighorn was moving forward. Because I know some of the times, most of the times I was probably asking it, where are we with our infrastructure, with water and wastewater? For any of these developments, for Marvin Gardens, for any of these little pop-up 1 or 2 houses, you know, when you look at it as a whole, can we support that? And the information that we were getting at that point, whether it was internal or anybody, was like, oh yeah, we can do this, we can do this, you know, so. You know, I don't mind putting the brakes on for Bighorn right now, because of some of their things that are going on, but so this to me seems to be coming out of left field, that all of a sudden now we're realizing, you know, or is it a certain section of town, and no, I want water pressure, and I want the fire department to have water pressure, you know? And if it's 70% is the cutoff, and we're almost at capacity, to me, there's a big difference between 70% and almost at capacity, it sounds like
I hear
we should be
you.
doing something now regardless of, exactly.
Well, I too shared your sentiment, and I was extremely frustrated. Cause I'm kind of like, why now?
yeah.
I mean, if you go back and look at our EQRs that we sold to Bighorn, that means we were already at capacity 5 years ago. Why wasn't this addressed 5 years ago?
Well, we did a study, and remember we had 178 lots that were developable.
Yeah,
And we, you know, we had water for them, and Bighorn came in, and was it our study that did the water study and said, you need to put in this much, so it's just a part of the process.
Yeah, I think, yeah, not in a scary kind of sense, there was positive and negative. I think sometimes people can lean more towards the negative solutions, right? Problem, we have a problem, let's have a solution. You can't, I could always see one person's one side of it, if they're like, oh, we just didn't stop building in this town, and then maybe that's easier. The more you create, the more work there is for everybody, but then the more people actually have to work. So it's, you keep moving forward as the town grows. Every town obviously does this throughout the mountains in one shape or form. But yeah, it is super important that we get to take care of it now.
But what I'm hearing from you is,
Yeah.
we're not ready to say we're done building.
Oh, hell.
Okay,
You
okay,
can't,
because
that's that.
come on in.
no, but I would like to see what we can do to. And balance it with what other projects are going on. In whatever development is going on in the county, in other municipalities, and obviously it's Idaho Springs, because we know there's nothing being built in a multiple residential way in any of the other areas yet. So, but let's see let's look at what we can do first. I just,
So I got 2 other things.
we can do a hell of a lot in 3 years.
I agree.
We
with
can hire
you.
Chris
And then-
Luca, and he can even build it.
Well, I got 2 other things I wanted to bring to you, since we're talking about this, and this is how I connect the dots. Why a housing authority? So Jake, to me, is an instrumental person to kind of, we take the lead in the multi-jurisdictional housing authority by doing the development here. You know, we have the land, we have a developer, but we need a housing authority for him to work with. That's his model. He has to work with a housing authority. There's no one else that's coming to the multi-jurisdiction house saying, we want to work with you. It's just Georgetown right now. I mean, there's already a project going on in Idaho Springs. They're not doing it through the multi-jurisdiction housing authority. They're doing it through their own. Now, we could do that too, like you were saying. Or, you know, that would be with Kurt Suko. And we would try to maybe go this route. And we get what we want through amending code to get higher numbers. You know, we go from 10% to 20% or 25% so that we get what we want. Now, let me pause for a second because there's two things that I've mentioned to Amy Saxton. Is it Saxton or Saxon?
Saxon.
Saxton, okay. I know we have a Saxton Mountain Road and Amy Saxton, okay. So, Jake's project would directly work with them, and there's a, talking through, Jerry, the other option would be, so let me go back to describing what we could do with the property. We could either take the vote to the people with the event parking lot, do a long-term lease, or we could potentially amend code of that section and deposit the property into the multi-jurisdictional housing authority. So that now we have a direct link for them to work. This is coming from Jerry, by the way. He's like, we could work through that way. Therefore, we are able to do a development. Jake is able to work directly with them, and we get credit for the value of the property into it as our contribution. And then they do a development the way we want it to be done.
We can't have a Georgetown Housing Authority? Jake won't work with the Georgetown Housing Authority?
He could if we formed one, if we formed our own.
I mean, it's just a possibility, again,
So the other reason for the housing authority is, okay, I'm gonna say a bunch of stuff before you shoot me down. Cause I've already been shot down many times from my own staff. So I preface that because I know I can feel the heat already coming. But, for those who don't know, and this may be your first time hearing it, Kurt Sukup is not gonna be doing a micro apartment development. It's changed now to condominiums. That's the latest.
The existing buildings there that he's
The
got
existing buildings
are now condos.
are now condos. Okay, so he's gonna sell them. They're small, so they're gonna be a lot more affordable. However, this is.
Affordable who?
No, you're shooting me down already, but let me finish.
can he do that without going through our planning commission or board of adjustments or a code that says
So,
for a condo, development as opposed to?
How does it fall in with subdivision rights?
The way that Jerry says is that it's a use by right. It falls under the same
there you
use by right.
go. Let's soak up.
Yeah, okay, so, but I'll keep going.
They're gonna be the Denver person, no offense to you people in Denver who are listening, who want to buy a small condo to crash, to go skiing, and, yeah, and it's
So-
not gonna help us. Get anything out of it.
Yeah, I know. Here's Kurt's ideas, okay? Now, again, these ideas are subject to change, and I'm just saying that because this is
I think he's proved that.
I'm giving you the latest and the greatest of what he is. However, I have met with him and Amy Saxton to discuss, like, are you serious about doing this? And that's why Amy was brought in. I'm going, could this go under the multi-jurisdictional housing authority? And so he would like to create 10 units and make them, so our code requires 5. He's willing to bump it to 10. And buy down, like put them in a special pot of money, buy down the rate. So when people go to buy them, he's gonna buy it down to the next level, 5 point something instead of whatever it is now.
5 points.
I know it just lowered, but he's willing to buy it down to make it even more affordable for the rest.
Right down to 15, what do you got?
So then second is, he's gonna contribute $100,000 and put it in a fund for 10 people. That these 10 people would then get into a lottery. And if they're selected, then all of their closing costs will be paid for. Okay, he's also willing to commit to 50% of the development to be restricted to Clear Creek County residents.
How did we put a moratorium on the apartments that he wanted to make condos, that we made him build apartments instead? How are we able to do that and we can't keep him on the apartment path with these micro units
Wasn't it leverage for the rest of the project
that he didn't build.
that he hadn't built?
Yeah.
I know, didn't people have to, didn't he end up like in litigation over people who put deposits down on condos and never got them? Kind of aside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Denny, that's the latest and greatest.
okay.
All right, now you can shoot it down.
No,
I want to at least give you, that's what he's proposing, so that it would be legitimate, affordable housing for the 10 units.
I think one of the things about affordable housing that needs to just stay at top of mind is that a majority of people who are in the position that they are actually requiring affordable housing do not possess the income or the credit to purchase homes. It's just, it's not even possible.
Even a micro unit, yeah.
They can't, no, I mean, there's,
qualify
they can't qualify for a mortgage.
$200,000.
They're not, I mean, we need to focus on giving people a shot at putting them themselves into a position where they're not house poor with an exorbitant rent. And they can rebuild the credit and the things that preclude them from homeownership, which is obviously a really great goal. And I think it's unfortunate that so many people are excluded from that option in not just here, but in the whole country, but it's a roof over their head is like the first goal. Like I love the idea, but $100,000, that's gonna be like some, person, like Mary said, who works in Denver, and no offense, you're great, we don't hate you. I grew up in Denver, it's a lovely place. But this is about our community.
very well said.
Thanks,
I'm glad you don't think that.
politician. No, it is about the recognition of that, what we need are, people who can just have a house.
Well,
And locals, and
Yeah.
it's okay, rentals, and it's okay that it's a rental, and it's okay that they are the people who are working in our shops and our restaurants and, at the Family Dollar, and we don't have anymore, but that's where the goal needs to be. And I love the idea of like condos, but those are second homes. There's gonna be,
Right, so they
Maybe.
can say they have a place by the lake.
That's right, they're gonna come in and they're gonna, you're gonna dump your gear, they're small, they'd be tight as an apartment, but I can't imagine someone buying that to live in on a full-time basis.
I mean, unless, and again, there's people out there that they do fit that niche. I mean, there's a million people, literally, I'm not saying that in hyperbole, that live in those places in Denver, and that's their place, and some of them do have mortgages and some of them don't, and
But the amenities and services that they have in Denver when they live in a place like that are so much different than what they're getting up here. Now, it's a trade-off, and we all, agree to those, exactly, those are choices. But again, is that the community that we're trying to develop, is that, for that, or are we getting away from what we have a vision for Georgetown to be by
the
mix
mix is important.
A lot of those folks will wanna, get on the short-term rental list.
Yeah,
So
so,
I use it all the time.
We had,
And they might be being sold that bill of goods that they could get on there and
they're not, that's how we're commercial term.
Oh, but that doesn't mean that.
But let me tie one loose end, as your discussion. How does the housing authority work into this? It's because they would be the ones managing those 10 and making sure that they qualify. And so,
But that's one and done.
yeah,
And then what do they do for $200,000 a year that has to be supplemented by all these communities? When you've got someone who's purchased that property or has rented that property and they've signed off on the lease, and then life is good, for that. To me, that's a small scale property management. And we're asked to be supporting it with big funds that if it's not here,
so my staff felt exactly how you felt. And they reminded me that we did a moratorium before it stopped. And they wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that.
moratorium for what?
that was
Stop
back,
the condo.
Mhm.
When the apartments, they were wanting to turn into condos,
Oh, for the original big one.
yeah,
remember what you
Okay.
and they stopped it, or you guys stopped it.
stopped it.
I wouldn't have called that a moratorium. We didn't actually enact any kind of moratorium since like the eighties.
No, 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 yes, we did, that, there was a moratorium on those apartments to condos to back to apartments, that's exactly what the wording
Okay,
was.
okay,
That's what
Okay,
Jan told me.
you're right, I am recalling it now.
Well,
Okay,
the simplest, I mean, the simplest thing, back to the basics, right? Affordable housing for our workforce. It's as simple as this, we can't say, hey, we need workforce, but this place is 300,000, what can you afford it? It's gotta be rentals, correct?
Yeah,
So I mean,
for majority workforce.
Yeah, back to the basics too.
Affordable rentals.
Affordable rentals, not affordable housing, but affordable rentals. Do we have the land for it to put a place on there, and does the multi-jurisdictional housing help us with that? It's that simple. I mean, I kind of agree with Mary, because if we can do it ourselves, I mean, we don't have the money to try to do what we want as it is, donate it to something else bigger. I mean, when Jake came and talked to us, I was kind of sold on that. If we get one project off that, it gets finished, that's great. But now we're kind of starting over with the water and everything else, we're back to the basics. But we really need to look at the bigger picture. Do we have, or can we put in place affordable rentals? When it comes to Kurt, yeah, sure, he wants to help us, that's awesome, but he's just taking the money he's already made off of us and just giving a small percentage back to look good. That's business. I'm not gonna bash him for that. I don't see an issue with that. Cool, you made some good money, you're gonna help us out, but help us out with long-term rentals. That's where we need the help.
Not to look good to get the project done that he wants to get done.
Yeah.
That's his bargain.
Well, true, that's, yeah, that's actually,
So
yeah.
so he squeezes it.
I'm trying to be nice.
Squeezes it to 10, great.
So if we take the, coming back into the issue at hand, what benefit the housing authority could bring to management of these types of projects? And could the housing authority, if they're helping manage larger scale projects within, let's not go as far as Idaho Springs, we'll say the Tri-Cities area.
They can't support it with
The banana
with their water structure.
well, they're in the midst of a master plan, area master plan anyway, that.
But they have significant issues with their water table, so in order to build a multiple family development. I think that would really crucify everyone there is, they're on wells down there. I don't know if that area, exactly, I don't know if that area can actually support.
So I
that
think
type
for
of
me,
development.
one of the things that I'm not totally against the housing authority, but what I would like to see is, and maybe I missed it because I did miss that one work session, is there are studies about what their 3-year or 5-year plans, and we keep talking about the 3-year, where the projects would go A, B, C, D. And how, because it was my understanding from when I did talk to George before the work, that everybody was going to get a vote. Like each municipality has a seat at the table. And I asked him, how do you leverage a Georgetown seat against a Silver Plume seat? And I use that in a weird example, I know this, because there's not a lot of land between the two of us.
Versus what we're gonna pay.
Versus what we're gonna pay. And so if there's a way to quantify that without us having to be the bait for that project, I do think there's benefit in helping manage some of these pitfalls that we see within the development sector, and in the long term of helping with tenant rights and making sure that we are managing actual real affordable housing. I don't think that Georgetown, we don't have the manpower to actually run around and do the heavy lifting to make sure that someone's affordable housing units are being rented and levied as such. So I think that there is benefit there. Do I think it's worth the investment? Not necessarily, but I'm willing to continue the conversation because I think that there are things that it could do that would give some footing to the affordable housing crisis and our workforce and hopefully people with, the people we need in school, people who need access to affordable childcare, those types of situations that are going to help the community continue to grow and develop. No offense to second homeowners, but you're not gonna develop us.
Well, and part of that too, I mean, then it goes to the same thing, you know, we're taking each town, we're gonna pay more probably because of our population, when in reality, it should be off what we can actually, how much land do we actually have to farthest development towards that, which, do we ever get any kind of ideas on how much land we have?
That's, yeah,
With the amount of, you know, is it 50 units, is it 10, is it 100? If we utilize all the common land. We kind of talk about that, Rick.
You just, you know, someone.
That was just the number.
No.
Developable lots. So when you look around town,
No.
you can come to the assumption that we're pretty much built out. And there's not a whole lot of places that we could continue to build out. And back when Craig was, police judge, he had, his daughter Becca sit down and actually count on mapping how many empty lots we have that could be developed as new single families. And it came up to as kind of a surprising number of 176.
That's what I remember.
Yeah, I remember about the same.
Yeah.
So,
what was the number?
about
76 or
176
You,
lots that could have a house on them.
Development.
A new house.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
a talking thing, correct?
Not Bob.
Lots. Or was that maybe way back?
It was further back. It was
Okay,
when
gotcha.
Craig was police judge.
Oh, wow. Gotcha.
He had Becca sit down and
We were a lot younger then.
yeah.
But I think that number even came up though when we were looking as Bighorn started to
Exactly.
develop and everything, so that was a few years
Exactly.
after he was
Yeah.
sitting in that seat.
Mhm.
And I would imagine some of those, that's not all single family homes, that could be some of the land where it's multiple. Right.
Well, even when we did the farm, you guys remember we were at the FAR.
That's what I was
the ratio. There was some percentage that Cindy Neely found too, of just double lots.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't remember the number, I could ask her to, what she remembers from the historic area alone of developable lots right there. And then we have the, you know, the bid parking, and then we have the lot that's near Family Dollar, that's, and we have the 3 lots that's in Millside.
Okay.
12 units, that's
Yes.
right.
If they were zoned with no side.
Yeah.
Correct, property, yeah.
Correct.
Well, some good things, keep with things off of that, if we took all that and we figure out the weather issue. And then talk with Jake over what the potentials are of doing on that. Then it's kind of back to Mary too, it's like, if we create our own just for those projects and did that, would that be cheaper? We have to have somebody to do it regardless, right? I mean, even if we do it in-house.
Well,
Let's
I guess-
push it off on KJ.
I guess my concern is if, you know, I mean, Chappa has pretty strict rules about things, and I'm not sure that us trying to, you know, walk like a housing authority, talk like one, would actually pass muster and have them actually acknowledge, and I'm just not sure it makes the cut.
But still, I mean, we are a board, we're a recognized board within the state. And that's not.
I don't know. I just don't know.
And also Jake's development, or those who like Jake's, they don't work with the municipality. They work with the. Correct.
Well, but they're used to working with the housing authority, but like I said, if it was Georgetown Housing Authority. In theory, that might put a different slant on it. I just, you know, I mean, I know we're not voting on the IGA tonight. You know, there's still, you know, time to get some more information and to smooth out some corners. It just, for a crisis, 3 to 5 years out, where we're investing and not seeing anything for anyone to move into town is
Well, the one.
kind of hard for me to be able to support.
And 176, if there's still that many developed.
Well, some of them have been developed in the
Right.
meantime.
Well, the one project in Idaho Springs, someone, I was walking by there this morning and said it's gonna be 213
units or
Oh,
something.
you're talking about the ball field?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of fails in comparison to what we have available.
Correct.
You have one project in Idaho Springs.
yeah.
Can I say something about this real fast? Just to
Certainly,
clarify?
I wanna make sure that we have time to deal with the second thing,
So,
at least.
so what I distributed to all of you guys, the ones, this is what I brought up the last time we were talking about houses. It was really just that first section. I'm not suggesting that we increase the amount of residential units in the development. What I'm suggesting, and I got the sense that some of you may be on board with this, was to further define it so that it's not just the 10%.
Studios or something.
Exactly, so it isn't all the most smallest units that are being developed, that it's across the board, so if they're building 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. That within that 10%, it's broken down accordingly, so I think it could be easily amended, not today, because I know it's not.
Yeah, but can we add, because I was thinking about that too, and the perfect idea is, if the majority of the building is 2 bedrooms, then that's what it has to be, does that make?
However we word it, so that, you know, and this goes back to the units, whatever they're going to be in Bighorn or like the flats. You know, he's giving us 5 1-bedrooms is kind of the sense that I got from the meetings that we had with him in the spring. And it would, yet it's a 1 and 2-bedroom property. So if we had some that were also 2 bedrooms, because those are going to be more appropriate for families with potential children in school, So I thought, like, before we get into any kind of development, even if it's this IGA down the line, where it's reflecting our values, I hope our values are to have a broader but defined, you know, size base
It has to
to
be.
go.
Do we have any, like, I mean, is the information about the change over there, is it done? Like, is it a done deal? Like, is there anything we can do about it? Can we go into
I
an
don't think
agenda?
so. I don't think so.
I feel like, I mean, is it appropriate, police judge, for us to put on an agenda? I don't wanna overstep, but I'm a little concerned about just that whole like bomb that got dropped on us, like, oh, by the way.
It's worth continuing to look at to see what we could and couldn't do.
And some of our town boards are already been spoken to about this. Just, Bob had mentioned it like 2 weeks ago about something about, there'll be condominiums down there. And I didn't know, I said, no, not that I know of, so I didn't know if it went for one of the, design review or something.
Yeah.
Just, so woke up one day and said, this is what I want to do.
That was the phase 2 project they brought to the DRC, so this, what Rich talking about is what they're currently building.
We know,
Okay.
we know, yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you, already been approved to change, make the changes with the first stage.
One of the things that you mentioned, I did ask him, is he willing to put some 2 bedrooms in the 5, that he said, yes, he's willing to make one a 2-bedroom.
Yeah, we're gonna give you seven.
I know, I'm just saying, I asked him about it because I knew I was gonna bring that up, and I will take the feedback back to him. So,
All right, let's go ahead and shift over to our second topic of the work session, which is, I just wanted to talk a little bit about this homework that Dr. Todd gave all of their board to go back to our jurisdictions. It's actually in the PowerPoint, how they envision the distribution of the technical committee membership. So of the governmental memberships, this is on page 5 of the PowerPoint. The middle slide. Clear Creek County would have 1 representative. And I wanted to just throw it out here. Nothing's been decided. It hasn't gone to Board of County Commissioners yet. The mayors and commissioners and managers will be talking the first Tuesday. It'll be the same day as our next meeting. But in the morning, I requested to talk about this, is Dr. Cogboard wants to make these appointments at the meeting, their regular board meeting, which is the third Wednesday of October. They wanna really get this rolling fast. There must be a really tight schedule on the grant. The grant is substantial. And I wanna just put it out to you folks. What do you want? Do you be thinking about who you would want to appoint? It might be somebody from county. Chuck Harmon leaned over to me and said, you would be really good. And I said, okay, let me take it to my board. So.
Would you like to do it?
The only issue that I would have is my limited term here. I'm done the end of, or beginning of April next year. So we could always appoint someone new. But
Does it still have to, do you have to be on a sitting board to do it?
I don't
That's a
know.
local government member,
Right,
so.
yeah,
Yeah.
so. Anyhow, but I wanted us to be thinking about who might be a good candidate. And then you can take a look at the other members, that are, pulled from all different. Yes, it's really tiny print, but, all kinds of different organizations, and if there's anybody that you might suggest. So. I think that's all I wanted to say about this. Did you have any questions about it? Okay. Very good. Okay, we'll go ahead and close out the work session.